Good evening. I'm just getting off work and I have been in my feelings for so long. Not just because of TT leaving, but before that. This goes back to like October. I have just been not necessarily out of my element, but I have been hyper aware, hyper focused, and just all in when it comes to just being all about my husband and my kids. I mean, I haven't seen or spent time with friends. I haven't spoken on the phone to anybody besides family since October, like mid-October. I have like literally disconnected myself from people that I usually speak to on a daily basis, spend time with every now and then. And to me, it's not a bad thing, but I know to some people that are used to spending time or extra time or an excessive amount of time with people outside of their household, it might be like, oh my God, I could never do that. Or like, why would you, disconnect from the world and just, I mean, everybody needs to hang with their friends every now and then. And honestly, I disagree. I disagree with that because I am a believer. I mean, like, my truth is family is everything. I love my friends. I love, like, aunties, uncles, cousins. I love all that. I love all of them. But when I say family, I mean Hugh, Kylie, TT, Skyla. That is my definition of family. Okay, so I have been going down a rabbit hole lately. Actually, this is the second day. And it just, I mean, my heart aches so bad right now because I don't know why I had this tug to just find out who my mother's father was, because I never knew my grandfather and she never spoke of my grandfather. I knew her mother, my grandmother, Blanche, but it was just, I've always felt different. I've always been different. I've always been treated different. And in part, it's probably because of my parents sent me, the only child, the only daughter that they had that was sent to live with my aunt and uncle here in Kansas, which I grew to understand the purpose of that. I didn't understand, and I found out today that my dad didn't even understand, like, how it was so bittersweet, like hard but easy to make the decision to have that transition in my life at such an early age, which I am so thankful. I'm so thankful. There's not a bone in me that can stand Jonesboro, Arkansas. No offense to everybody that loves to go back to Arkansas that left and came back, or no offense to y'all. Y'all have love there. The love that I had there passed with my mom. So there's nothing in Jonesboro, Arkansas for me. So, but I have been going down this rabbit hole, and I have I don't want a connection. I don't want to necessarily have a relationship with my mother's side of the family. I just want to know, I just want to see, get a visual of who her people were, because she was different from her siblings. She was different from her mother. She didn't look like her mother or the mother that I knew to be her mother. And I'm at a point now where I'm questioning, was that her? I'm still trying to find her birth certificate. I want to do this on my own. I'm doing as much as I can on my own. I don't want to reach out. I don't want to pay nobody to do this for me. This is just me channeling that energy inside of me to something into something productive, so that I can find out on my own accord of what is meant for me to find out. So it's just for my self-gratification. This is not a history thing to where I'm trying to go back in time and learn my DNA, where my ancestors come from. This is not what I'm looking. This is not my goal, okay? I'm not even concerned about all that. But my mom, I have such a deep love for my family, and it's like I'm learning and starting to understand like where that extends from. And just knowing, I found a census report from 1950. My mom was born in 1949, and the report states a household of my grandma's mother, my grandma Blanche, I think maybe a sibling or two of my grandma's, and then 5 grandkids of my grandmother's mother. So my great grandmother's grandkids. And it said, oh, sorry, somebody's calling me. No, it didn't. Hold on just a second. Anyway, I know I'm just having an emotional moment, and I just wanted to share what I'm feeling right now, because as I'm exalting and uplifting and supporting and congratulating my kids for who they are, who they've learned to become, who they know themselves to be, who they praise in the efforts of being there for them, to support them, to get them to where they are and where they're going. That recognition of family, of parenthood, of just love, unconditional love, support, discipline, all of that. And to go back and think of my mom, I'm trying to figure out, why am I like this? Because nobody I know is like me. And I don't mean that in a superior form or as a superiority complex or anything like that. This is just an observation that when it comes to how much I love and I almost feel like it's on the brink of being unhealthy. To some degree, it's on the brink of being unhealthy, because I want them to feel that I am just, I want to be everything to them that they desire. Not that they need, but they desire to have in their life. And I don't do that forcefully. It's just a natural approach. And I believe that they value that, and they appreciate that, and they see that. And they too tell me on occasion, like, I can't, I know I'm getting too deep into it. But anyway, it's so uplifting. And it, like I say, my family lifts me up when the way that they feel, the way that they reciprocate their love to me in their actions, not in their words, their behavior, how other people perceive them, and how other people speak of them to me or to each other about each other. That is like God's ultimate answer to my prayers. So, and my prayers at the age of 20. Okay. This isn't, anyway. Okay. So my mom, her family that she was with, it was her mom and my mom's grandmother and her aunts and cousins. And I was looking at the names, and I see that my mom's name in the census, I've always known my mom's last name to be Kelly. That's her maiden name. That's her mother's maiden name. But then on the census report, it said Fowler. So I'm like, wow. And I remember my dad telling me some years ago, and of course my cousin Jimmy Dale Bumper, who's an older cousin, and he told me about a Fowler being my mom's father, but my mother never spoke of that side of the family. So I find on the census report the names of the individuals that lived in that house. And then I went looking on Facebook, just seeing what I could see just from that little glance or little piece of information, just glancing at the information. I go on Facebook and I do a little search. I'm looking through pictures, and I see 2 beautiful white-haired elderly ladies. They had to be in their mid 80s to early 90s or so. And on their shirts, they had Warren Johnson family reunion. And Warren and Johnson were on that census report as residents of that household. So they were either aunts to my mother or related. They were related to my mother in some fashion. And at the time, my mom was, the census was in, I can't remember what, I know she was just a few months old. And it was in 1950. My mom was born July of 1949. So she was she was the baby in the house. And she had a brother that was 4 years old at the time. And then there were some other kids that were not my grandmother's kids, but perhaps one of her sister's kids. So I looked at that picture and I started looking at these people. I'm trying not to cry, sorry. And I could see my mom in them. And I look up, like, what are they doing? Like, who are they? What are they doing? Like, and I'll just say they seem to be humble and family oriented, beautiful, spirited people. But this is just on the surface. I can't speak for who they are or what have you. I can't really speak on all that. But the initial reaction was, this is her family. This is where she came from. These are people that she may not have ever known. Or she knew at some point, but there was a disconnect at some point. And it was just overwhelming. So of course I had to share it with my dad, and my dad, we've been talking since yesterday and today, just talking, and he could see it and feel it too. So it's just knowing that my mom, whatever the reason was never a part of that family, that side of the family. She was always different from everyone else, but she was so devout to her family. Keep it together, girl. Keep it together. You almost got it out your system. But just to know that it makes sense to me as to why she was such a devout mother. And I can imagine how hard it had to be to send her only daughter away. Anyway. But she created a space for her family. It's like she went through so much in life. Not just being sick, but the infidelity that she endured. She just wanted her family. She created the family that she didn't have. She had siblings, but they were, it's nothing wrong with having half brothers, half sisters, whatever. That's not, they're still family. But there's always that piece of you that not necessarily is missing, but that piece there is like, oh God, I can't even explain what to say about it. That piece is like a reminder. There's a piece there that's a reminder to you that I have people out there. I have family out there. Even if I don't speak on it, they're there, And I know that she felt that, and she had to have known that they were there living their lives or whatever. But I know there had to be some type of emptiness in her, because the family that she never knew seemed to be the driving force that made her everything that she was. Like everything that she secretly and quietly desired to have growing up, she made it possible for herself and her children growing up. I mean, as she became an adult, you know? And it just reminds me so much of myself. Although I grew up with both parents in my house. When I moved to Kansas, I felt so lonely, so alone. Like, I would see people at school and their families, their relatives. I had none of that here, you know? And then when I lost my mom, it was a lot. And I went through a lot. But, oh, excuse me. You gotta excuse me. I am losing it here. But I'm gonna keep it together so I can take my butt home. But anyways, it's just, just raw feelings, just talking, but just to get out of my system before I go home, because I know I've already talked to Hugh about this so many times. And when I go home, I just want to love on them. But like I said, she was such a wonderful woman, such a wonderful wife. She was a wonderful mother. The only weakness that to this day that I can find in her, which I now understand and no longer perceive it as a weakness. I understand now. I always thought it as a weakness that she allowed my dad, my father, to cheat on her and have these outside kids multiple times before and during their marriage. Like I said, I know some of you guys know already, but my sister is 6 months younger than me. And then I have an older brother who is just a couple years younger than my oldest brother. And so, that's man, if you as a kid, you look at that stuff, you don't really take that stuff seriously. But as an adult with a family of your own, that shit's heavy. That is heavy. And I could never understand how do women, after going through all the BS you go through, being cheated on the first time, let alone having a kid become a product of that, how do you allow that to happen again? Why do you stay? I couldn't and that was one thing I told my husband when we first got together. Like, I can face anything. I can go to war. I can go do whatever with you. We can fight the world together as long as you do not cheat on me. That was the deal breaker. I can deal, I can grow, I can evolve through anything. But that right there, that's the worst pain I ever felt in my life. Is being cheated on. And I said, I promise I will never put myself in that position ever again. At the first sign, or the first initial little inkling of being lied to and cheated on, I'm out of there. And that's what I always did until, of course, I met Hugh. And it's been a wrap. It's been a wrap. But he's so supportive in that aspect. And he understands my heart, I didn't have daddy issues growing up. My daddy issues didn't come until after my mom passed. But now me and my dad are cool. Like, we are cool. I mean, but anyway, this is like, I guess, my video diary. I done did the most. Lord have mercy, Jesus. But I mean, it's just real. This is just what I'm thinking about and I'm dealing with right now. So I'm gonna find out what the real deal is. I just want to know who her father, what was his name, what did he look like, did she have siblings? I just want to see so that I can close this chapter of my life. I never really took the initiative to really investigate. But the older I get, the more I see my mom and especially TT, I see so much of my mom in her, the way she looks and just, and then I see so much of my mom in me, like how I remember of her. What I do remember of her, I see so much of her in me, and I just cannot gravitate from this pull on me that has me so invested in my family, like to no end. But it's like, although with TT leaving, it was like, it was a pleasant and surprisingly effortless transition for me. Like, I felt like as a family, we've done everything that we're supposed to do. We've spent time, we've traveled, we've laughed, loved, cried, shared emotions. We've done everything, just the small things and big things. And now there's no regret in that. Let's move on. This is a new phase. It's not the end of the world. This is the beginning of a whole new world. Come on now. And the same thing is coming for Kylie, and the same thing will come for Skyla. And then at that point, then we have the grandbabies. So it's like, man, it's a beautiful thing. But in order to appreciate, I don't know, every aspect of my being, I need to know my mom's story. I want to know her story, because oh man, I just felt her pain when I saw that her last name was originally Fowler, and somehow it became Kelly. It was reverted to her mother's maiden name for some reason. I don't know when. I gotta find out when, and I wish I could find out why. But my mom would be what? I'm sorry. My mom would be 73. Yep. I think she'd be 74 in July. July 9th is her birthday. So anyway, yeah, so, time is kind of running out right now. But it's all for a good reason. It's for a purpose. So anyway, I'll get off here so I can go home now. I think I'm good. I think I got that out. So I don't care how raggedy it is. I said I was going to share it, and I'm going to share it. So I hope y'all have a good day.